of Ra, breath of heat, moisture, and cosmic tension. She was not only rain and dew, but she was pressure, the force that makes the sky press upon the earth and keeps creation sealed. When Tefnut grows wrathful, balance ruptures, and so she fled. She crossed the cultivated land without looking back. She passed beyond temples, beyond prayers, into the Red Land, where gods lose their titles and take on older names. There she became Pharaoh, lioness-faced, radiant, burning the moisture from the air itself. The Nile receded, borders weakened, foreign enemies stirred. Ra did not curse her. He waited. Thoth goes first. Thoth followed her tracks into the Red Land with measured steps. He carried no weapon, only words, spells, and names. He reminded her of who she was. You are moisture, he said. Without you, the world cracks. Tefnut laughed, a dry, rasping sound, then let it crack. Thoth returned unharmed. Wisdom failed, not because it was wrong, because she no longer cared to hear it. Nephthys came next. As she followed her, cloaked in dusk, she did not lecture, she offered comfort. She spoke of home. She spoke of Isis, of the rhythm of night returning after day. And Tefnut listened for a moment. Then the heat rose again. Your kindness is a chain, she said, and I have broken free. And Nephthys wept, and the tears turned to steam before they touched the sand. And she returned alone. Shu called upon her as her brother. Hathor sang her a glorious song. In each return, the Red Land does not yield to persuasion once wrath has crowned itself queen. So Ra summons Anhur. Only then did Ra speak the name which was not sung. Anhur did not prepare for offerings. He did not ask questions. He took his spear. His journey was not swift. He crosses the borderlands where human fear thickens in the air, the dry lands where the moisture gods weaken, the silent dunes where even names dissolve. Storms rise, not to stop him, but to test his resolve. Spirits whisper, not to deceive him, but to measure his discipline. And Anhur does not respond. Where others rush, he paces. Where others find shadows, he ignores them. He is not hunting Tefnut's body, he is hunting the line she crossed. They meet where the sky presses low and the earth cracks open. Tefnut appears as a lioness in flame, her breath scorching stone. Another god has come to leash me, she snarls. Anhur plants his spear. The wind dies. No, he says, I have come to restore hope. She attacks, not wildly, but with divine fury. Each strike reshapes the land. Each roar bends the horizon. And Anhur does not counterstrike. He contains. Each step he takes tightens the world around her. Each movement narrows her freedom. Not dominance, just constraint. And at last the spear touches her throat. Not hard, not trembling, but steady. You are not chaos, Anhur says. You are pressure. Pressure without form destroys what it is made to preserve. And for the first time, Tefnut hesitates. She does not submit, but she acknowledges. She steps back and she follows. And as they walk, moisture returns to the land, not as flood, but as breath. The Nile remembers its rhythm, borders harden. When they reach Ra, Anhur steps, for he does not take credit. He simply moves to clean his spear. The Greek myth of origin, from the beginnings in chaos to the primeval gods and the titans. According to the Greek poet Hesiod's Theogony, at first only chaos existed, and chaos is the term given to the dark chasm that gave rise to the fundamental forces or primordial gods, such as earth, sky, and darkness. And thus, the mold of the universe was fashioned from these gods. Chaos manifested its children in spontaneous birth, and these were Gaia, who was earth, Eros, who was sexual love, Tartarus, who was the underworld, Erebus, who was darkness, and Nyx, who was night. Gaia was the primordial goddess responsible for manifesting the entire physical world, including the land, the flora and the fauna, the sea and the sky. Ether or brightness and Humera or day emerged from the union of Erebus and Nyx, thus darkness creating light. Uranus and Gaia were parents to 12 Titans, who were very powerful deities. There were 3 Cyclopses, one-eyed giants, and 3 ferocious hundred-handed giants, known as the Hundred-Handers. Night gave birth to doom, death, strife, sleep, and the goddess of retribution, among many others. The Titans. The powerful Titans were a mighty race that held dominion over the cosmos during the time of the Golden Age. These gods were the first generation of Titan gods and descended from the primeval gods Uranus and Gaia. And Uranus and Gaia had given birth to 12 Titans, 6 of whom were males and 6 who were females. The males were Koios, Cronus, Crius, Hyperion, Leptus, and Oceanus. The females being Thea, Rhea, Themis, Mnemosyne, Phoebe, and Tethys. These gods were immortal giants who possessed inspiring strength and knowledge of the ancient religions, as well as many skills in magic. They were known as the Elder Gods. The Titans rise to power. Now Cronus, with his brothers and his mother, plotted to overthrow Uranus, and one day they castrated the great god and stole control of the universe away from him. And thus the second generations of Titans would be born. Because during this time, the brothers and the sisters mingled with each other and would associate with the sons and daughters of their kin. Eos, Helios, and Selene were the offspring of Hyperion and Thea. Koios and Phoebe became parents to Leto and Asteria. Oceana and Potmec were the offspring of Oceanus and Tethys. Crius consorted with his half-sister Erebus and gave birth to Astraeus, Pallas, and Perseus. Cronus and Rheus would produce a multitude of younger gods, including Zeus, Hades, Poseidon, Hera, Hestia, and Demeter. And it was those who would ultimately rebel against their father Cronus, just as he had done to his father Uranus and his followers. This rebellion lasted for 10 years and was called the Titanomachy. This was what led to the defeat of the old order of Titans and led to a new order, kinged by Zeus himself. They called themselves the Olympians after Mount Olympus, where they established their home, all except for Hades, whose new dominion would be the underworld. And this set in motion a new age with a set of new gods to rule the universe. Hades, the god who never lied. Now Hades is not feared because he is cruel. He is feared because he is honest. While all the other gods bargain, seduce, disguise, deceive, Hades does none of this. He does not appear in disguise, he does not test mortals, he does not pretend to be merciful, nor does he threaten punishment to inspire obedience. He simply administers death. There is no spectacle in his realm, no fires or brimstone, no screaming choirs of the damned. The underworld is not a torture chamber. It's a bureaucracy of eternity. Souls arrive, they are processed, and they are placed where they belong. Not where they want to be, not where they hope to be, where they truly and actually belong. And Hades does not lie because lies require desire. And among all things, Hades desires nothing. He is death as an administration. Now in Greek myth, chaos is not death. It is unchanged life. It's endless ambition, endless reproduction, endless conquest. Death is the corrective mechanism that keeps existence from collapsing under its own excess. So Hades is not the enemy of life, but he is its boundary. When kings overreach, Zeus strikes them down. When heroes rage, Ares feeds on their violence. When lovers betray, it is Aphrodite who stirs more chaos. But when people die, when the end comes, Hades simply does his job. He has no judgment speeches. He has no speeches at all. He's not going to punish you with his words. He's not going to ridicule you. And he is the only god who is known to 100% keep his word. If Hades says something will happen, it happens. When Orpheus descends into the underworld to retrieve Eurydice, Hades does not trick him. He gives him a single condition. Do not look back. No hidden clauses, no divine wordplay. Orpheus fails not because Hades lies, but because humans cannot resist doubt. That was his downfall. The tragedy is not Hades' cruelty, it is Orpheus' inability to trust certainty. Hades never breaks the rules. He is the rules. Now, why the gods fear him? Now, the Olympians rule through personality. It's ego, emotion, alliances. Hades rules through finality. Zeus can be overthrown. Poseidon can be defied. Hera can be appeased. Even war can be avoided. Death cannot. Hades does not need worshippers. He does not need temples. He does not need praise. Every god eventually answers to him, although quietly. Now, Persephone is the only compromise that we see, and this is the one story people cling to as evidence of Hades' villainy, the story of his wife. This is not a story of abuse. It is a story of cosmic balance. Hades does not kidnap her in secret. He asks Zeus for permission. He follows protocol of their world and their time. The seasons change not because Hades is cruel, but because death must share time with life. Persephone becomes queen not by force, but by eating the seed, by accepting the role. And even love in the underworld is contractual. And Hades is vastly misunderstood. Humans prefer lies that feel good over truths that feel cold. They would rather believe in punishment than accept this as maintenance. Hades does not judge you. He does not care if you are famous, rich, or loved. He only ensures that nothing overstays its welcome. In a universe ruled by ego, he is the only god who operates without one. Hades is not evil. Hades is necessary. And that is why he will never be loved in the way that the others are. Because love wants exceptions, and death does not accept those. A hymn to Hathor, the mistress of Dendera. Come forth, Hathor, lady of heaven, she who shines in the face of the sky, you who are called the golden one, the beautiful, the beloved of Ra. You are joy before the heart remembers sorrow. You are music before the world learned to listen. When your feet touch the earth, life softens. Where your gaze rests, fear loses its grip. You are the smile that steadies the sun, the breath that calms the stormy eye. Come to your house at Dendera, O Hathor, that order may endure and that people may live. Hail to you, Hathor, lady of heaven, mistress of all gods, eye of Ra who shines in glory, golden one who fills the two lands with beauty. You rise in joy, you set in peace. When you appear, all faces rejoice, all hearts are glad, for love walks in your footsteps. Lady of music, mistress of song and dance, the sistrum sounds for you, the men at rest on your breast. You gladden the weary, you lift the bowed head, you restore what the world has made heavy. When you are gentle, the land prospers. When you are distant, the sky trembles. Come to your house at Dendera, O beautiful one, that you may see your people, and that they may live. Hail to you, Hathor, lady of the west, she who stands at the threshold of eternity. You receive the justified. You offer cool water to the weary soul. You place bread in the hands of the blessed. You welcome the traveler who has crossed in truth. No terror walks beside you. No cruelty dwells in your house. The dead rejoice to see your face, for you are the comfort of the West and the peace of those who have endured. O Hathor, may you open the way. May you speak kindly of the heart. May the soul rest beneath your sycamore. Thus Hathor is praised, not only as joy in life, but as mercy beyond it. May her name endure, may her light remain. Maui, the trickster who slowed the sun. In the time before time was measured, before hours were named, before the days were counted, the sun raced across the sky. It rose too quickly, it fell too soon, and the people suffered for it. There was never enough daylight. Crops withered before they could grow. Clothes could not be finished. Fishing nets remained half woven. Children went hungry, not from lack of effort, but from lack of time. Each day slipped away like water through fingers, and so the people cried out. They spoke to the winds, they spoke to the land, they spoke to the sea, and one among them listened. His name was Maui, born between worlds, neither fully God nor fully man. Maui was known as a trickster, a breaker of rules, a challenger of what was said to be impossible. Where others bowed to the natural order, Maui questioned it. When he first heard of the people suffering, he did not pray for mercy, he chose defiance. If the sun is a problem, Maui said, then the sun must be confronted. The elders warned him, no one challenges the sun, no one binds the sky, no one survives such arrogance. Maui only smiled. He traveled deep into the forest, where ancient knowledge still sleeps in the roots and the stone. There he gathered strong fibers, flax, vines, sacred cords, and braided them together. No ordinary ropes, but ropes woven with chant, breath, and intention. Ropes meant to hold the god. When the cords were finished, Maui sharpened the bone-jaw weapon he carried, a relic of power, a symbol of his lineage. Then before dawn, while the world still whispered in the darkness, Maui climbed to the eastern edge of the earth. He hid where the sun first rises. The sun began to glow. Heat pressed against the horizon. And then the sun emerged, blazing, proud, unstoppable. As it climbed, Maui leapt from his hiding place. He cast the ropes. One wrapped around the sun's arms. Another bound its body. Another caught its blazing path across the sky. The sun roared. The light burned. The heat scorched the land. But the ropes held. The sun struggled, furious and unyielding, until Maui struck. Again and again. Not to destroy, but to teach. Listen, Maui said, his voice steady against the fire. You race too high. You leave the people in darkness. You steal their labor, their food, their lives. The sun resisted. It had never been challenged before, never been bound, never been told no. But even the sun must answer when the balance of the world is broken. At last, weakened and humble, the sun agreed. It would slow its journey. It would stretch the day. It would give the people time. Maui released the ropes. The sun rose again, but this time slowly. Day lingered. Shadows lengthened gently. Fields flourished. Work was finished. Children slept with full bellies. And time, for the first time, belonged to humanity. Maui did not stay to be praised. Tricksters never do. He vanished into story, into chant, into memory. But every long day, every lingering sunset, every moment where the light holds just a little longer, that is Maui. Not the one who feared the gods, but the one who reminded them that humanity too has needs. And sometimes even the sun must be told to slow down. Mokosh, she who holds the threads, a Slavic myth. Before fate was spoken aloud, before destiny was written in words, there was Mokosh. She does not sit above the world. She does not rule from the sky. She is not thunder, and she is not flame. Mokosh is found closer to the ground, where hands touch soil, where feet grow tired, where life is shaped slowly, one motion at a time. She is the keeper of threads, not the sharp blade that cuts them. And in the quiet places of the old forest, where the air is damp and the earth remembers every footstep, it is said that Mokosh sits at her loom. She weaves not cloth but lives. Each thread is a moment. Each strand is a breath taken, without knowing what comes next. Each knot is a choice remembered, not judged, not corrected, only placed. Here nothing is rushed, nothing is wasted. Mokosh does not punish. She does not reward either. She does not pull the thread tight or let it fall loose without reason. She simply records. When people sleep, she works. When villages grow quiet and fires burn low, her loom continues its steady rhythm, a sound too soft to wake the mind, but strong enough to hold the world together. When hands spin wool or flax, they echo her labor. When fingers learn the motion of weaving, they remember something older than language. Mokosh teaches that fate is not a sudden fall, but a slow gathering. What is repeated becomes strong. What is neglected grows thin. What is pulled too hard will fray, and what is held too tightly will lose its shape. She governs patience, because patience is the shape of endurance. In old Slavic lands, Mokosh was honored not with towering temples, but with care, with clean floors, with honest work, with the steady keeping of promises that no one else could see. She was honored in the quiet dignity of daily life, in spinning and mending, in the acceptance that not all things can be hurried into being. To forget Mokosh is to forget that life is built by hands, not all at once, but again and again. She is present in the spinning wheel, in the rhythm of breath, in the slow work of becoming what one already is. She teaches that fate is not the enemy to be fought, but a pattern to be understood. When storms come, she does not shout them away. She simply waits. When sorrow comes, she does not deny it. She simply weaves it in. The thread darkens, but it does not break. And when joy appears, she does not cling. She allows it to pass through the loom, brightening the pattern for a time before settling back to memory. Mokosh reminds us that fate is not a chain, and it's not a prison. It is a fabric, strong enough to hold, soft enough to move, shaped by every motion made in silence. As night deepens, as the world grows slower, the loom does not stop. Thread by thread, moment by moment, she continues her work, not to control, not to command, but to hold. And in that holding, all things are allowed to rest. The myth of Neith. In the multifaceted pantheon of the ancient Kemetic deities, one goddess stands out as a formidable and revered force. Neith, the protector goddess of war and hunting. Her statues were commanding and striking, depicting her with a muscular frame and fierce expression. In one hand she held a bow with an arrow ready to strike, while in the other she carried a shield emblazoned with powerful symbols. Neith was not just a goddess of brute strength. She was also known for her wisdom and strategic thinking in battle. She was seen as a protective figure by her worshippers, always watching over them and guiding them towards victory. This ancient Kemetic goddess holds a revered place in the society's history, with her worship spanning back to the pre-dynastic era. Her primary connection was with the city of Sais, situated along the Nile Delta, where her devotees built their religious center dedicated to her. Her name itself, Neith, translates to the one who is, an enigmatic title that symbolizes her multifaceted character and importance among the other deities of Kemetic beliefs. In some depictions, she is shown as a formidable warrior goddess, equipped with an enchanted and divine bow and arrows that themselves were woven from the thread of reality. She often wears a red crown adorned with crossed arrows, symbolizing her ties with combat, but more importantly, safeguarding. She was revered as the deity of hunting, weaving, and warfare, and she was also seen in some circles as the creator goddess, often connected to the original waters of disorder from which all existence sprung forth. Now, legend has it that Neith, this divine goddess, was the ultimate protector of both gods and humanity. It is said that she crafted the very world we live in, shaping every single living being with her powerful hands. Her presence was sought after to safeguard even the mighty sun god Ra on his daily voyage across the sky, ensuring his safe passage so that he could bring light and warmth to all. She was revered as the guardian of life, ensuring balance and harmony among all beings. Neith was a Neter held in very high esteem, her name spoken with reverence and awe. She was known not only for her strength and power, but also for her wise and compassionate nature. Stories of her teachings and guidance spread far and wide, as she was revered as a teacher of knowledge and wisdom. In the myths surrounding her, she is credited with inventing both writing and the Metaneche, as well as weaving and other crafts. The people believed that she bestowed these gifts upon them to help guide them through their daily lives. She was seen as the patron goddess of weavers, and those skilled in the craft would often invoke her blessings for success in their work. Her presence could be felt in every loom, every thread carefully spun into intricate patterns under her watchful eye. Neith not only held the role of protector and teacher, but she was also closely tied to the afterlife and the journey of the soul to the underworld. Her presence exuded a sense of maternal warmth as she guided departed souls on their final voyage. She watched over them with a loving gaze, ensuring their safe passage into the realm of the gods beyond. Her gentle touch provided comfort to those who were leaving behind the earthly realm, granting them peace in their transition to the divine world. The weight of her responsibility was evident in her strong yet nurturing stance, embodying both strength and compassion in her role as guardian of the afterlife. A goddess of war and protection was a complex deity, having both a benevolent nature, but holding back a fierce and formidable power within. When ancient Kemet faced danger and conflict, her name was evoked to bring forth defense and victory. Her presence towered over the battlefield like a mighty colossus with unbreakable determination. In one hand she held, as ever, her bow, made of pure gold, its arrows capable of piercing any obstacle. In the other she often held a staff imbued with ancient magic, ready to unleash spells and curses upon her enemies. Within the chaos of battle, Neith's divine wrath manifested itself, leaving destruction in its wake as she fought fiercely for her people's survival. In ancient Kemetic art, Neith is often depicted with that fierce visage as a triumphant goddess. One of the most well-known portrayals shows her standing with one foot planted firmly on the head of a vanquished enemy. This image exudes power and strength, symbolizing Neith's victory over chaos and evil. It serves as a constant reminder of her role as a protector and the defender of the Kemetic people. Her expression is stern and determined, her stance unwavering as she stands guard against any threats to her people's well-being. The intricate details of her headdress and garments add to her regal appearance, showing her divine status among the gods, or Neters as they were called. This depiction truly captures the essence of Neith as a formidable deity who will stop at nothing to ensure her people's prosperity. Now, Neith is also closely associated with the goddess Sekhmet, another powerful warrior goddess known for her role in warfare and destruction. Now, both goddesses were often invoked in times of war and conflict, with Sekhmet representing the fierce and vengeful aspect of war, while Neith embodied the protective and nurturing side. The myth of Neith reveals a complex and multifaceted deity who plays a vital role in ancient Kemetic religion and in society. As the protector goddess of war and hunting, she was revered for her strength, wisdom, and protective nature. Her statues hang to this day, always showing her ever-present bow slung on her back and her arrows at the ready. She was seen as a fierce warrior, capable of defending Kemet and its people from her enemies. Her braided hair adorned with feathers and symbols of power. But Neith was also known as a wise and compassionate teacher, depicted with a scroll in one hand and offering guidance to those seeking knowledge or direction. In death, she guided the souls of the deceased to the afterlife, her presence like a comforting beacon in the darkness. Neith's enduring legacy as a powerful and benevolent goddess continues to be celebrated and revered by modern scholars and enthusiasts of ancient Kemetic mythology, eager to uncover more about this enigmatic deity, the warrior goddess, blessed with the greatest of beauty and the sharpest of minds. Long ago, when the North forgot how to sleep, the winter arrived quietly. Not the clean snow of stars, but a tired chill, heavy, lingering, very unsettled. Rivers froze in the wrong directions, shadows stayed longer than they should, and fear, left unattended, learned how to walk. But the heavens noticed. They debated, they hesitated. But in the far north, where night is patient, Paktai stood barefoot on the frozen ground. He did not rush, he did not shout. For many winters, Paktai had only done one thing. He had mastered himself. Each breath slowed with the storm within. Each silence sharpened his will. What no longer belonged to him, fear, doubt, hunger for power, fell away and wandered the world, believing itself free. Tonight, Paktai opened his eyes. From the quiet sky descended the ancient companions, the turtle, slow and enduring, and the snake, precise and final. They did not coil and threat. They rested. Paktai took up his sword, not in anger, but in clarity, and walked into the shadow beneath the frozen rivers, where restless things had built a kingdom of noise. The darkness expected struggle. It expected fear. Instead, it met stillness. Each step Paktai took returned something to the balance. Each strike unraveled what should have never been. No screams, no chaos, only correction. When the last shadow dissolved, Paktai placed his sword into the earth. The rivers remembered how to flow. The cold softened into winter, not warning, and the north exhaled. From that night on, Paktai was known as Zen Wu, the true warrior. Not because he conquered others, but because he never needed to. They say he still walks when the earth grows loud with corruption, not to punish, not to terrify, but to remind things where they belong. And when he passes, even evil finds itself too tired to continue. Rest now. The north is watching, and tonight it is calm.
March 1927, United States. The King of Kings is released. An early cinematic depiction of Jesus establishes biblical epic as mass myth. June 1938, United States. Action Comics #1 debuts Superman. A modern myth of power and morality enters popular culture. June 1938, United States. Superman becomes the first major superhero. The idea of the superhuman is framed as moral responsibility. May 1939, United States. Detective Comics #27 introduces Batman. Heroism is reimagined through trauma, vigilance, and urban fear. May 1939, Gotham City. Batman is established as a noir-inspired figure. Justice becomes personal rather than idealized. December 1939, United States. The Wizard of Oz is released. Fantasy becomes a vehicle for emotional and psychological escape. October 1940, United States. Fantasia premieres. Music and animation merge into abstract spiritual experience. December 1941. United States. Pearl Harbor dominates global media. Mythic narratives of heroism shift toward wartime reality. July 1943. United States. Batman and Robin serial films are released. Superheroes are adapted into propaganda-era entertainment. October 1944. United States. Laura introduces noir psychology to cinema. Moral ambiguity replaces clear good and evil. July 1947. United States. The Roswell incident enters public consciousness. Technology and fear merge into modern UFO mythology. December 1949. United States. Captain Video and his Video Rangers premieres. Television becomes a delivery system for futuristic myth. September 1951. United States. The Day the Earth Stood Still is released. Science fiction becomes a moral warning rather than spectacle. July 1954. Japan. Godzilla is released. Nuclear trauma is transformed into a cultural monster. October 1956. United States. Forbidden Planet premieres. Psychology and technology collide in space-age myth. October 1959. United States. The Twilight Zone premieres. Speculative fiction becomes social philosophy. April 1961. United States. Fantastic Four debuts. Superheroes become flawed, human, and interconnected. September 1963. United States. Doctor Who premieres. Time travel becomes serialized cultural myth. July 1968. United States. Night of the Living Dead is released. Horror becomes a reflection of social collapse. September 1969. United States. Scooby-Doo debuts. Mystery is softened for mass youth culture. April 1970. United States. The Green Hornet influences martial arts television. Eastern philosophy enters Western action myth. March 1972. United States. The Godfather is released. Crime becomes operatic and generational. May 1977. United States. Star Wars is released. Mythic structure returns to popular cinema. December 1977. Japan. Close Encounters of the Third Kind is released. Contact replaces conquest in science fiction storytelling. December 1978. United States. Superman, the movie is released. Sincerity returns to superhero myth. December 1979. Japan. Mobile Suit Gundam compilation film is released. August 1980. Japan. Galaxy Express 999, Glassclare is released. Explores memory, illusion, and emotional imprisonment. September 1980. United States. The Dark Phoenix saga concludes. Power, corruption, and sacrifice redefine superhero tragedy. January 1981. United States. Days of Future Past begins. Warns of a future shaped by fear and authoritarian control. February 1981. United States. American Pop is released. Generational identity is shaped by ambition and loss. April 1981. United States. John Byrne begins his Fantastic Four run. Science fiction and emotional grounding are restored. April 1981. United States. Monica Rambeau becomes Captain Marvel. A black woman assumes a premier heroic mantle. June 1982. United States. Blade Runner is released. Questions identity, memory, and artificial humanity. June 1982. United States. The Thing is released. Paranoia and isolation redefine science fiction horror. October 1982. Japan. Macross premieres. War, music, and emotion merge into modern anime myth. May 1983. United States. Return of the Jedi is released. Redemption becomes central to galactic mythology. July 1984. United States. The Transformers debuts. Technology becomes myth through sentient machines. October 1984. United States. The Terminator is released. Fate and resistance collide through time. December 1984. Japan. Dragon Ball begins publication. Playfulness and power merge into lasting modern myth. July 1986. Japan. Laputa, Castle in the Sky is released. Innocence confronts technological imperialism. July 1986. United States. The Dark Knight Returns is released. Heroism is deconstructed through age and authority. February 1987. United States. RoboCop is released. Corporate power clashes with human identity. July 1988. Japan. Akira is released. Psychic power exposes political decay and youth anxiety. March 1989. United States. Batman is released. Comic mythology enters modern cinema. November 1989. Global. The fall of the Berlin Wall dominates global media. Cold War binaries collapse and January 1990. United States. Twin Peaks premieres. Television embraces surrealism and psychological mystery. March 1990. Japan. Akira Toriyama expands Dragon Ball Z into global syndication. Transformation becomes the language of power. July 1990. United States. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is released. Independent comics prove mass-market viability. November 1991. United States. Terminator 2, Judgment Day is released. Technology becomes both threat and protector. October 1991. Japan. Street Fighter 2 reshapes arcade culture. Competitive play becomes a social ritual. October 1991. United States. X-Men Volume 2 launches. Outsider identity enters mainstream culture. September 1992. United States. Batman, the animated series premieres. Comic storytelling gains emotional maturity. June 1993. United States. Jurassic Park is released. Spectacle and scientific fear merge. April 1994. Japan. Ghost in the Shell manga reaches wider recognition. Identity and technology begin to overlap. September 1994. United States. The X-Files premieres. Government distrust becomes serialized myth. November 1995. Japan. Ghost in the Shell is released. Consciousness is questioned in a cybernetic world. March 1996. Japan. Pokémon begins publication. Collection and companionship redefine fantasy. July 1996. United States. Independence Day is released. Disaster spectacle becomes national fantasy. March 1997. Japan. Princess Mononoke is released. Nature and industry are placed in moral conflict. July 1997. United States. Men in Black is released. Alien mythology is reframed through humor and secrecy. March 1998. Japan. Serial Experiments Lane premieres. The Internet becomes existential space. June 1998. United States. Blade is released. Comic films adopt mature tone and identity politics. March 1999. United States. The Matrix is released. Reality itself becomes suspect. October 1999, United States. Fight Club is released. Masculinity and consumer identity collapse in March 2000, United States. X-Men is released. Superhero cinema enters the modern era. December 2000, United States. Unbreakable is released. Superpowers are framed as psychological burden. December 2001, New Zealand. The Fellowship of the Ring is released. Epic myth returns to mainstream cinema. May 2002, United States. Spider-Man is released. Youth anxiety becomes superhero narrative. December 2002, New Zealand. The Two Towers is released. War and endurance reshape heroic fantasy. December 2003, New Zealand. The Return of the King is released. Sacrifice concludes modern epic myth. June 2004, United States. Batman Begins reboots the character. Realism replaces camp in superhero myth. May 2005, United States. Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith is released. Tragedy completes a generational myth cycle. March 2006, Japan. Death Note premieres. Justice and power become moral obsession. May 2008, United States. Iron Man is released. Shared cinematic universes are established. July 2008, United States. The Dark Knight is released. Chaos is framed as philosophical threat. May 2010, United States. Iron Man 2 expands the shared universe. Interconnected storytelling becomes standard. April 2012, United States. The Avengers is released. Ensemble myth proves commercially viable. March 2013, United States. Man of Steel is released. Godlike power is treated as global crisis. October 2014, United States. Gone Girl is released. Media perception becomes psychological weapon. April 2015, United States. Daredevil premieres on streaming. Serialized grit reshapes superhero television. March 2016, United States. Batman v Superman is released. Ideological conflict replaces simple heroism. February 2018, United States. Black Panther is released. Afrofuturism enters global mythology. April 2019, United States. Avengers: Endgame is released. Legacy and loss conclude a cinematic era. October 2019, United States. Joker is released. Alienation becomes origin story. March 2020, Global lockdown reshapes media consumption. Digital myth replaces communal ritual.
The myth of Savitri and Yama, when devotion outwalks death. Now in Indic mythology, Yama is the god of death. This is the first mortal to die and the first to discover what lies beyond life. He does not rule death through terror or conquest, but through precedent. He knows the path because he walked it first. He is not a demon lurking in darkness. He is a judge, a keeper of order, a figure of calm authority. He rides a buffalo, carries a noose not as a weapon, but as a symbol of inevitability, and presides over the passage every soul must eventually take. Yama is not evil. He is not cruel. He is law. In Indic thought, death is not a villain to be slain. It is a function, precise, inevitable, and impartial. Yama does not take pleasure in death, nor does he rush it. He enforces it because the universe requires balance, and balance requires ending. And Savitri does not challenge that. She does accept that. She early on made a choice with clear open eyes. Now, it must be said that Savitri is a mortal woman. She is not a goddess in disguise, not a heroine born to destiny, just a human, raised with discipline, clarity, and uncommon depth of mind. She's known for her devotion, her intelligence, and her ability to listen more than she speaks. When the time comes to choose a husband, she does not wait for fate to deliver it. She goes out into the world and chooses a man, Satyavan. Their meeting is simple. There's no divine spectacle, only recognition. But before the marriage, a seer warns her of what is to come. Satyavan is fated to die within a year, and this knowledge is precise. There is no ambiguity, there is no hope of error. Savitri does not ask the prophecy to be undone. She does not look for another man. Savitri chooses her husband knowing his fate is to die within this year. Not because she believes that fate can be tricked, not because she expects divine intervention. She chooses him anyway. And this matters because devotion chosen with full knowledge of loss is not desperation. It is resolve. And as prophecy had foretold, the time of Satyavan's death arrives. There is no chaos in this moment, no omen in the sky. Life simply reaches its appointed edge. And Yama comes soon after, as he always does. He is tall and composed, dark as shadow, but solid as law. He rides no storm, he carries no fury. In his hand is a noose, not as a weapon, but simply a symbol of completion. His presence does not frighten by force, it silences by certainty. He is truly the specter of death. There is no drama, no cruelty, and no hesitation. Yama takes Satyavan's soul and turns to leave, carrying it towards its destined place. And Savitri does something that no one expects. As she grieves, as she watches death walk away with her husband, she does the only thing left for her to do. She follows. Not to fight, not to beg. She simply walks beside death. Yama moves along his path as he always had. It is not a road of fire or torment, but a narrowing of the world itself. The sounds of life thin out. What remains is quiet, steady, irreversible. This is not punishment, it is simply transition. And then he notices her, a living woman walking beside him. Not stumbling, not dragging her feet, simply keeping pace. And Yama stops. He turns, his voice is calm without threat or anger. This is not your place, he tells her. The living do not follow the dead. Savitri does not argue, she does not plead, she does not even reach for her husband. She bows her head slightly and speaks, not to challenge death, but to address law. You are Yama, she says, keeper of order, guardian of what must be. You did not take without reason, and you did not act without duty. And Yama listens. Tell me, Savitri asks, what is righteousness, if not the faithful carrying out one's role? And what is duty, if not walking the path one has chosen without deviation? And as he turns, she walks again without speaking. A wife who abandons her husband at the edge of death has fulfilled her duty. A law that does not answer truth, can it still be called just? Savitri does not accuse, she does not demand, she simply asks. And because Yama is law, he must answer. And this is the power of measured speech. Yama listens as Savitri finishes speaking, and for a long moment the path is silent. Then the god of the dead answers, not with a rebuke, but with retribution. Your words are aligned with Dharma, he says. You have spoken without deceit, without fear, and without demand, and it is fitting that such clarity should be acknowledged. Yama turns towards her. Ask me a boon, he says, one that does not concern the life that I have taken. And Savitri bows her head. May my father regain his sight, she says, that he may see the world clearly once again. Yama inclines his head. Granted. They continue walking, and after some time, Yama speaks again. Ask another boon. Savitri answers softly. May my lineage endure and prosper, guided by righteousness and balance. Yama does not hesitate. Granted. They walk on. The silence stretches, and the world grows thinner still. And then Yama speaks for the third time. Ask again. Savitri lifts her eyes. May I bear children with my husband, she says, and may our union be long and whole. Yama speaks the words as he had done previously. Granted. And only then does the law complete its circuit. Yama stills. For the first time, death pauses. Not in error, not in anger, but in understanding. A boon granted by law cannot contradict itself, and so without spectacle, without protest, Yama turns back. And with him, the path responds. The narrowing of the world eases, the weight of the air lightens, sound, long absent, begins to return. Not all at once, but gently. The hush of death gives way to the faint rustle of the wind, the distant echoes of the birds, and the soft persistence of life continuing. Color seeps back into the world, not suddenly, but naturally. The shadows lose their grip. The ground beneath their feet feels solid again. The threshold between worlds recedes, sealing itself without ceremony. And Yama releases the soul that he carries. Setyavin breathes. Life returns to him, not as a miracle, but as a correction. Law fulfilled, not undone. He opens his eyes and rises, steady and whole. Savitri does not cry out. She does not collapse. She simply moves to his side and walks with him, as she always had. Behind them, the path closes. Yama does not linger. He does not watch. The work here is finished, and he has other tasks to complete. And this is a true victory. Savitri does not defeat death. She does not break its rules. She does not demand exception. She understands the law so completely that it must honor her. Yama keeps his word. The boon stands. The order of the universe remains intact. No violence, no rebellion, no illusion of immortality, just precision. And this is why Savitri's story endures, because she proves that devotion, when guided by clarity, does not need to fight death. It only needs to walk with it, until death, bound by its own truth, must turn back. And as we have seen, Hades administers death. Hell accepts death. Osiris structures it. Izanami warns us not to cross its boundary, and Savitri teaches something even more rare. If you understand death deeply enough, you don't need to fight it at all. Sometimes the cleanest victory is the one where no one bleeds and the laws remain intact. He is chaos. He is a force of nature, unique even among the Pasejet, the 9 perfect representations. He himself is the protector of the living force of all, the defender of Atum Ra, the fire and soul of all things, beset nightly by the ultimate destructive force that was Apep, the snake of chaos. Chaos seeking to destroy order, and order seeking to control chaos. The ultimate battle. And he was Set, who had chosen to defend Ma'at. He was chaos defying chaos. He announced himself as I who slay the enemies of Ra. And so he did. It was of a particular offense to Apep that Set, born of her energy, would protect the things she hated most. From each night he would defend, her own energy turning against itself. But such is the way of chaos, the storm within the storm. He is Sutek, Ash, Nubti, he before whom the sky shakes. He of 2 faces. Apep may rage, but he is Set, great of strength, and none would move him from his task. But still, the thought of what is to come had the full attention of the Neter of war and chaos. It was her, and she is angry, as seemed to be her nature. He digs his feet into the soil. He had chosen this form in the model of Wepawet. He had become a hybrid of a wolf and a man. A form he finds very comfortable. This body is tall and lean, rippled with muscle. He stands on twos like a man, but could as easily have taken all fours. His skin is black as the cosmos, drinking in the power of the source, the Medu Neche. His black, fierce eyes are sharp and keen, his fangs long. The Lord of twofold strength had taken many foes in his long life. His black dragon scale armor vibrates with shimmering energy. He ventured into the Vega Star itself to capture the raw ore and bring it to Jehudi, the master weapons maker. From this vibrating metal from the Vega Star, he forged the Typhoon, the Whirlwind, a set of armor like nothing before. Set at his core is a creature of dark energy, dark matter, the force that expands the universe, creates new worlds and unpredictable forms of life. And this armor, made of the rare and precious metal Jehudi had called Vega 9, is the perfect vessel for amplifying his energy. He fashioned 2 swords, a dagger, and a small warhammer from the metal, and the weapons of Set were complete. He had been anticipating this moment for a great while. This was inevitable, this conflict. She, like him, would not have it any other way. The mistress of dread indeed. She had chosen this place, this jungle. But there was desert here too, and he would draw strength from it. The creatures of the desert were his to command. He could feel a ripple in the ether of this place. A presence had entered, a force, a Neter. She is here, the one who is powerful. His keen wolf eyes glimpse her several miles away, a bright star in the cosmos, a burning ember against the background of black infinity. The one before whom evil trembles. She is the lioness, the feared one, the Eye of Ra, the protector of that which matters most, the beautiful berserker. Her golden form stalks through the hot sands of the desert. She glows with raw power. Few could match her. She too wears her armor, forged from the 9th metal, called the God Metal, the work of Jehudi, just like the armor of Set. It was gold flamed with red blood. She had infused it with her soul fire, enhanced it with ancient symbols, and this armor had never failed her. She had slain humans by the thousands, dragons and titans by the hundreds. In her veins flowed fire and lava, her terrible claws still stained with blood. Her glittering white fangs shine like ivory daggers. She is confidence incarnate, a supreme predator, the Lady of Slaughter. Her infamous dual swords in hand, terrible curved blades that separate limb from body with supernatural precision. She is Sekhmet, infused with fire. She is the worship of Memphis. She is the destroyer. But he is the Lord of the desert and all things of it. The sky turns gray and hums with the vibrating air. There is a beating sound. 10,000 wings of the wasp army of Lord Set begin to take the first attack. They are a masterpiece of harmony, military precision on display. A glimmering legion of black and gold armored soldiers. Vicious, precise, and venom-filled, they are the things of nightmare, and the lion goddess is their prey. They attack in waves, finding the flesh beneath the golden fur and the armor, the sting of 1,000 wasps. She roars in pain as venom is pumped into her system, engulfed in the swarm, engulfed in the frenzy. But still, she is Sekhmet. She is fire. She glows, a bright ember against the black cosmos. She explodes into flame, and the swarm is no more, consumed by the soul fire she commands. The twisting roar of flame finds the Lord of Chaos, and it is his turn to howl as the fire seeks to tame him. But he is Set, the untamed, and he will not be tamed. He emerges from the flame, his black armor vibrating and glowing as it absorbs the powerful energy. And then they are on each other. black claws and golden fangs, Vega star of metal clashing with the metal of the gods. The lioness versus the wolf, bloodletting at the highest level. His fangs find her throat as her claws find his soft stomach. They are infinite black and brilliant gold in a twisting mass of rage and power. The sky darkens, the air burns, and in the end, the lioness stands. Drenched in the blood of the Lord of Chaos. Her roar shakes the heavens as she sinks into the sand. She is the one. She has tamed the force that could not be tamed. But still, this body of hers is near death itself. She leans against his body in the sand as the rage in her quells, looking into the eyes of the great wolf, her great enemy. She had destroyed this body, this half-wolf form. But Set is a force of creation. His presence helps maintain the balance. His vibrating energy will return, and as always he would be at his post on the great solar bark, defending as always the thing that matters most. And so it's she, for she is Sekhmet. Shiva, the one who sits still. Before the worlds learned how to move, before time learned how to count itself, there was Shiva, not as a destroyer, but as the one who did not move. Shiva sits at the edge of creation, high upon the mountain, where the air is thin and the mind grows quiet. He does not rule by command. He does not speak unless spoken to. He closes his eyes, and in that closing, the universe itself exhales. Around him, galaxies turn. Stars are born and burn out. Seasons rise and fall like breath. Yet Shiva remains unmoving. His stillness deeper than that motion. His silence louder than sound. The snakes that coil around his body do not strike. They rest. The ash upon his skin is not death, but the reminder that all things return to quiet. Shiva is the god of meditation, because meditation is not escape, it is witnessing. He watches the universe dance without joining the dance. He allows desire, fear, and time to pass in front of him, like clouds crossing the sky. And because he does not cling, nothing binds him. It is said that when Shiva opens his eyes, all creation trembles. But when he keeps them closed, the creation itself learns how to breathe. In his stillness, the restless will find rest. In his silence, the loud learn how to listen. Shiva teaches without teaching, by showing that nothing needs to be forced, that even gods may sit quietly and let the world unfold on its own. And so he remains, not rushing the end, not pulling the beginning closer, but holding the space between moments, where all things are allowed to be. If the universe feels loud, Shiva sits. If the mind feels crowded, Shiva sits. And in that sitting, the night remembers how to stay calm. The forge roared like a beast beneath the weight of midday, its fiery breath mingling with the copper scent of heated metal. George Markley's muscles glistened with sweat as he hammered a plowshare into submission. The clang of iron rang out in steady rhythm, echoing against the walls of his smithy. "Morning, Mr. Mackley," greeted a passerby, tipping his hat to the blacksmith, whose reputation for quality work was as solid as the anvil upon which he wrought it. "Morning," George replied, without missing his beat, his voice as gruff as the calluses on his palms. He didn't need to look up to know who spoke. The townfolk were as familiar to him as the tools of his trade. The skin around his eyes crinkled slightly, betraying focus rather than friendliness. Here in the heart of Shroud, amidst sparks and smoke, George was sovereign of his realm. Each strike of his hammer forged not only the metal, but also the life he had built from nothing. As he plunged the glowing plowshare into the quenching trough, Steam erupted with a harsh hiss, veiling him momentarily from the world outside. In the shrouded cocoon of mist, George allowed himself a rare moment of introspection. They see a blacksmith, the craftsman, the provider. But beneath this soot and sweat lies a man shaped by fire, tempered by adversity. George set the plowsmith aside to cool and wiped his brow with the back of his forearm, leaving a smudge of ash across his dark skin. His nostrils flared as another wave of heat cascaded from the open maw of the forge. It was relentless, this dance of fire and steel, but it was a dance he had mastered. "Got something there that'll last 100 harvests, I reckon," commented an elderly customer, leaning back against the doorframe with an appreciative nod. "Only 100, George quipped, the corner of his mouth twitching upward. "You underestimate my work, sir." Laughter followed, a brief interlude in the day's labor. Yet even as humor lightened the air, a shadow lingered behind George's eyes, a harbinger of storms yet to come. "Quality, that's what you're paying for," George said, turning back to his anvil. "And quality is what keeps this town coming through my doors." His thoughts drifted, unbidden, to confrontations past and those potentially looming on the horizon. Being a man of color in 1919 meant living with a target on your back. But George refused to bow or break. His shop stood as a testament to his resolve, each success hard-earned, each challenge met with the steadfastness of the iron he shaped. "Can't argue with that," the customer agreed, watching the blacksmith return to his craft, lost once more in the rhythm of his anvil song. George's heart matched the tempo, a resolute drumbeat against the injustices of the world. Here, in the sweltering embrace of his forge, he was untouchable. Each swing of his hammer a declaration, a creation of legacy. "Let them come with their hate," he thought, as the metal yielded beneath his strength. "I will stand, as I always have, unyielding as steel in my hands." And with that silent vow, George Markley, the blacksmith of Shroud, Oklahoma, continued to reshape the world, one red-hot ember at a time. The clang of metal on anvil reverberated through the blacksmith's shop, a symphony of sparks and sweat. George wiped his brow with a thick forearm, the heat of the forge painting his face with a sheen that glimmered in the dim light. The horseshoe he was working on had taken shape, carved as perfectly as a crescent moon that would rise over Shroud that night. "Pa, look!" Evelyn's voice pierced the steady rhythm of George's labors. Her small hands cupped around a caterpillar she found outside. Her eyes were wide with wonder, reflecting the same curiosity that had always fueled George's own spirit. "Careful now, Evie," Tilly chided gently from behind her, balancing George Jr. on her hip. "Don't squeeze too tight." Her presence brought a softer air to the soot and iron of the shop, the domestic blending seamlessly with the industrial. "Isn't she a beauty, Pa?" Evelyn asked, her eyes still fixed on the creature inching across her palm. "Sure is, sweetheart," George said, setting down the tools and offering his daughter a smile that cringed the corners of his eyes. He took a moment to appreciate the simple joy he found in life's tiny miracle, the respite from the world's harshness. "George, dinner soon," Tilly reminded him, the warmth in her voice reaching out like a comforting embrace. She knew the importance of the shop, but also the value of the family table. "All right, I'll be in soon," George replied, returning to the red-hot iron before him. His thoughts wandered briefly, considering the future his children might forge for themselves. Would Evelyn's fascination with creatures turn into a love of all living things? Could little George's laughter ring out in a world less cruel than his own? His work was more than crafting tools and shoeing horses. It was providing for his family, securing a piece of the world where they could thrive. "Your supper will be quality too, if you don't let it get too cold," Tilly playfully called back, her words punctuated by the giggles of their son. "Wouldn't dream of it," George answered, the corner of his mouth lifting. With a final quench of the horseshoe in the cooling trough, steam rose up, wrapping around him like the day's end. "Pa, when I grow up, will I make things like you?" Evelyn's question pulled him from his swirling mist of thoughts. "Maybe," he said, soothing her hair. "Or maybe you'll make something even better." Better than horseshoes? Evelyn's skepticism was palpable, her innocence yet untouched by the world's darker truths. "Much better," George assured her, his heart swelling with protective love that was both fierce and tender. "You'll make a difference, my girl. You and your brother both. Promise?" Her small voice held the weight of all the hopes and dreams he had for her. "Promise." The word was a steel beam in the structure of his soul, unbendable, unbreakable. Time to wash up now. Tilly's voice rang with authority that only a mother could wield. Go on, Evie. Go help your ma. George watched him leave, the image of his wife and children etching itself into his memory. It was memories like these, the mundane, beautiful fragments of life that he fought to preserve each day at the forge. Never let it be said that George Markley didn't provide. Not just horseshoes and nails, but hope. The morning cast a long shadow over the dirt road as George Markley stoked the fires of his forge. Sweat beaded on his brow, the heat of the flames an ever-present companion in his daily toil. The rhythmic clanging of the hammer on anvil was a comforting sound, one that spoke of stability and hard work. But today that familiar cadence was interrupted. George! The voice sliced through the steady din of metalwork like a cold draft through warm embers. It belonged to Nathan Sutherland, a man whose presence in George's shop was as welcome as rust on freshly wrought iron. "What can I do for you, Nathan?" George asked, setting his hammer down with deliberate slowness that betrayed none of his rising unease. "Cut the pleasantries," Nathan snapped, his eyes flitting greedily over the prime location of George's blacksmith shop. "I know what you've done." Confusion furrowed George's brow. "And what might that be?" "Stealing," Nathan accused, spitting out the word with venomous satisfaction. "From my very store. Thought you could get away with it, did you?" The accusation was ludicrous, an absurdity momentarily stunning George into silence. He knew the weight such a claim could carry in Shroud, especially against a black man. Tension coiled in his gut, twisting like hot iron in the grips of tongs. "Stealing? That's a serious charge, Nathan," George finally said, his voice steady despite the turmoil churning within. "You best have proof to back it up." "Proof?" Nathan sneered, casting a derisive look around his shop. "Your very existence here is theft enough. A man of your standing shouldn't be occupying such a prime piece of shroud." Without thinking, George stepped closer, his large frame towering over Nathan. "This is my shop, built with my two hands. I provide a service to this town. My standing has nothing to do with that." "Careful now," Nathan warned. The slight waver of his voice betrayed his attempt at intimidation. "You forget your place, Markley." "Perhaps it is you who forgets yours, Nathan," George replied, his words slow and measured. The air between them crackled with hostility, each man acutely aware of the unspoken threats hanging in the balance. "Mark my words, George," Nathan's eyes narrowed, malice pooling in their depths. "I will have your shop one way or another. You don't belong here." With those parting words, Nathan turned on his heels and stormed out, leaving a trail of dust and animosity swirling in his wake. After he left, George's hands clenched reflected the ghost of the hammer's handle still imprinted in his palm. Anger vied with concern as the implications of Nathan's visit began to settle in his mind. "Everyone knows I'm an honest man," George muttered to himself, trying to quell the rising tide of anxiety. "This is just bluster." But deep down, where fear took root in the darkest corners of his heart, he knew the color of his skin made him vulnerable to lies spun by men like Nathan Sutherland. "Lord help me," he whispered, his gaze falling on the family porch above the mantel of his forge. The smiling faces of Tilly, Evelyn, and George Jr. staring back at him. They were the reason he had to stand strong. Now more than ever, for their future, he would weather this storm. Yet as the day unfolded, with the relentless Oklahoma heat beating down upon the land, a sense of foreboding clung to George, as tenacious as the smoke that billowed from his forge. Nathan's threat loomed large. A dark cloud threatened to eclipse the bright hopes he held for his family. Under the unforgiving sun, George Markley stood at the center of Shroud's dusty Main Street, the town's eyes upon him. His large, callous hands, darkened by the forge's fire and years of labor, hung resolutely at his side. A crowd had gathered, drawn by the spectacle of confrontation. Nathan Sutherland stood opposite him, a sneer painted across his face, flanked by a man who shared his contempt. "Listen here, Markley," Nathan bellowed, his voice carrying with it the authority he believed his white skin afforded him. "You think you can just take what isn't yours? That you're above the law?" The general store owner's accusation cut through the murmurs of the onlookers like a sheath. George's jaw tightened. "I haven't taken nothing from nobody," he replied, his voice as steady as the anvil in his shop. "That includes you, Nathan. I built my business with these two hands. He raised his hands slightly, palms open, as if presenting his life's work to the jury before him. The townspeople whispered among themselves, some with curiosity, others with thinly veiled disdain. George knew which voices carried weight and which would flutter away against the next gust of wind. Their judgment was a fickle thing, but today it was anchored in Nathan's favor. Your lies are as weak as your spine, Nathan spat. Maybe you forget where you are, blacksmith. This is my town, and I won't stand for thievery. Your lies are as weak as your spine, Nathan spat. Maybe you forget where you are, blacksmith. This is my town, and I won't stand for thievery. George met Nathan's gaze unflinchingly. No thief here, Sutherland. Only a man standing up for what's right. The clenching of his fist belied his calm demeanor, his heart jackhammering against his ribs like metal on a forge. Is that so? Nathan's voice dripped with malice, his followers chuckling behind him. We'll see how long that defiance lasts. As the standoff came to an end, the crowd disappeared, leaving George under the scrutiny of the midday sun, the heat mirroring the simmering rage within him. But it was more than anger. It was determination not to bow down, to protect his family and their future. He turned and walked away, the weight of the encounter heavy on his shoulders. Night descended on Shroud, draping its darkness over the town. George, pulled away by urgent matters in a neighboring town, left his family home, nestled in the embrace of twilight. Lily, Evelyn, and George Jr. waved goodbye, unaware of the shadows creeping towards them in the night. Hours later, as the moon cast a ghostly glow over the sleepy town, a different kind of shadow approached the Markley residence. Nathan and his band of emboldened men, their hearts filled with poison and minds set on malice. With no defender in sight, they advanced upon the house, a pack of wolves in the guise of men. The door, a barrier of simple wood, was no match for their unwarranted conviction. Inside, the sanctuary of the Markleys was breached, the sanctity of the home violated by the intrusion of hatred and violence. The night air was thick with tension, the silence of the prairie broken by the creaking of the porch, the hushing curses of men driven by the darkest paths of their souls. Unseen by any, the spirits of the land watched in silent lament. The cruelty of humanity once again played out under the indifferent stars, and thus the stage was set for a wrathful spirit to be forged in the crucible of justice, the hammer of vengeance, waiting to be awakened by the blood and tears yet to be spilled. The moon hung low, a silent witness to the unspeakable acts unfolding within the blacksmith's homes. Tilly's voice, once filled with laughter and warmth, now rose in ragged sobs that traversed the desolate night. She fought with every ounce of her being, her maternal instinct as fierce as the flames George coaxed from his forge. But her strength was no match for the brutality that Nathan and the men wielded with such vile favor. Please, not my children, she pleaded between the harrowing blows, her words landing on indifferent ears. Her tormentors replied with mockery and continued their assault, driven by the hate that knew no bounds. Evelyn's small frame shook with terror, her whimpers a haunting melody entwined with the guttural sounds of violence. Little George Jr., his innocence shattered, could only whimper, his eyes wide with confusion and pain. Their agony echoed through the rooms, vibrations of desperation that would soon reverberate through the very souls of their absent protector. George returned under the cloak of darkness, the air thick with the ominous stillness that clawed at his senses. The familiar outline of his home loomed ahead, but something primal within him screamed that all was not as it should be. His boots crunched on the gravel, each step accelerating his heartbeat, dreadful premonition constricting his chest. George, he called out softly as he pushed open the door, expecting the sleepy murmur of his wife or the gentle rustle of his children stirring in their beds. Only silence greeted him. No, not silence, but the residue of screams that lingered like a foul odor. He adjusted to the dim light, and the sight that met him stole the very breath from his lungs. The world fell away as he staggered forward. His knees threatened to buckle beneath the weight of what lay before him. God, no! George's voice was a tortured whisper, a ghost of its usual commanding presence. The room spun around him, a macabre carousel painted in hues of crimson and despair. Lily's broken form sprawled on the floor, her once vibrant eyes void of life. Beside her, Evelyn and George Jr. lay motionless, their small bodies defiled and discarded like rag dolls after a child's capricious play. His hands trembled as he reached out, denial and hope warring within him. Maybe, just maybe, there was still a flicker of life. But their cold skin, the stillness that clung to them, spoke an irrevocable truth. They were gone, taken from him by monsters masquerading as men. Who did this? The question tore from him, a roar in the abyss. Anguish morphed into fury, igniting a fire that no forge could contain. With the hammer of his trade by his side, George stood amidst the ruins of his life, the embers of retribution beginning to glow in his eyes. He had been the foundation upon which they built their lives, the strength that kept them safe. And now he had failed. Now there was nothing left but echoes of their suffering. George Markley vowed to avenge the souls torn from his world. "Forgive me," he whispered to the unhearing dead, the promise of vengeance a bitter taste on his tongue. "I will make them pay." And with that, George stepped into the night, his shadow merging with the darkness as he embarked on a path from which there would be no return. A path stained by the blood of those who invoked the wrath of the hammer of vengeance. The moon hung like an unblinking light over the darkened town of Shroud, its light painting silver streaks on the blacksmith's hammer as George Markley stepped silently through the night. His breath came in ragged gasps, each gasp a plume of mist in the cold air. "Where are you, Nathan?" he muttered under his breath, the name a venomous curse. The blacksmith's shop, once a place of creation, had transformed in his mind into a forge of retribution. A flickering movement at the edge of his vision drew him towards the saloon, its windows glowing with the false warmth of oil lights. The laughter and clinking glasses within were discordant to the howling fury that gripped George's heart. "Oh, come on, Nate. Tell us again how the big man cried," jeered a voice inside, the words fueling George's rage. "Shut your mouth, Tom," another sneered. "You're enjoying this too much." "Enjoying?" Tom chortled. "I'm reveling in it." Without hesitation, George barreled through the doors, his massive form casting a shadow that swallowed the whole room. The patrons fell silent, their jovial nature snuffed out by what they beheld in the blacksmith's grim visage. "George Markley," Nathan began, a tremor of fear in his voice. "Your time has come," George growled, his hammer raised high, his muscles tense, the weight of his weapon familiar in his grip, an extension of his wrath. Wait, this ain't what it looks." "Silence," George roared. The first swing was a thunderclap, metal meeting skull with a sickening crunch. Tom collapsed without a sound, blood pooling beneath his caved-in head. Panic erupted as the men scattered, but George's pursuit was relentless, driven by visions of Tilly's gentle smile and Evelyn's bright laughter. Each strike of the hammer was a requiem for his son's stolen future. "Please no," one begged, scrambling backward on hands and knees. But mercy had fled from George's soul, alongside with his family's spirits. "Did they beg, like you do now?" George's voice was ice as his hammer found its mark again, obliterating bone and sinew without remorse. "Markley, it was Nathan's idea. I swear," another shrieked, but his pleas went unheard. The cacophony of destruction filled George's ear, the pounding of his heart, crackling of bones, the splatter of blood against walls. "God have mercy on me," Nathan's final cry echoed as he cowered behind the bar. "Mercy?" George spat out the word like poison. "Tell it to my wife and children." With a final crushing blow, the deed was done. The silence returned to the saloon, broken only by George's labored breathing. He stood amidst the carnage, the hammer slick with the lifeblood of the guilty. But there was no solace, no peace found in vengeance, only the hollow victory of justice extracted. A bitter salve on the gaping wound in his soul. "Forgive me," he whispered into the void left by his family's absence. "Forgive me for not being there." But forgiveness was a faraway land, and George knew his journey had only begun. The hammer of vengeance was born with fire and blood, and its work would stretch beyond the horizon, into the darkest corners where hate dared to thrive. The moon hung heavy over Shroud, a silent witness to the grim procession that wound its way through the heart of the city. George Markley, his hands bound behind him, stumbled at the center of the mob, his blacksmith's muscles strained against the coarse ropes. The townfolk's face twisted in fury and anger, pushed him forward with angry shoves and sharp words. "Murderer," one woman screamed, her voice slicing through the night air like a blade. "Devil," spat an old man, his spit landing on George's cheeks, mixing with blood and sweat that coated his skin. "Enough," Sheriff Collins commanded, his voice gravelly with sour and duty. The crowd parted as they reached the ancient oak at the edge of town, its sprawling branches casting skeletal shadows on the ground. "Please," George implored, his voice hoarse from screams that had long been turned into whispers. "I did what any man would have done." "Your family's blood weren't even cold before you took up that hammer," someone called from the back, their words laced with accusations and a hint of admiration for the brutality he had wrought. "Justice," George muttered to himself, glancing down at his hands, trying to reconcile them with the instruments of vengeance they had become. It was justice. But they pushed him forward, forcing him to his knees at the base of the oak. The sheriff unspooled a length of rope from his shoulder, throwing it over a sturdy branch before securing it around George's torso, binding him to the tree. "Any last words, George?" the sheriff asked, an edge of regret in his tone. "Tell Tilly, tell my babies." George's voice cracked, his eyes clouding with tears that he fought to hold back. "That I'm sorry. God may forgive you, the shroud don't." The sheriff nodded to the man flanking him. A blacksmith apprentice, no more than 16, stepped forward, a railroad spike in his hand. His face was a mask of confusion and conflict, torn between the teachings of his trade and the desires of the mob. "Sorry, Mr. Markley," the boy stammered, his eyes refusing to meet those of his former mentor. The first spike pierced flesh with a sickening crunch, pinning George's shoulder to the gnarled bark. A guttural cry escaped his lips, a sound that seemed to pull the very soul from his body. Another blow, another spike, this time through his right shoulders, and the cries melded into the night, indistinguished from the howls of wild creatures. "Look at me, boy," George demanded through clenched teeth, fixing his gaze upon the apprentice. "Remember this moment when you swing your hammer. Remember what hate brings." "Enough talk," growled the voice George recognized as Nathan Sutherland's brother. "Finish it." The boy hesitated, but the crowd's fervent chant of justice propelled his arm forward. More spikes, each a betrayal of the craft George had loved, drove into his legs, his abdomens, until the only thing holding him upright was the rough embrace of oak and the iron in his flesh. "May God have mercy on all of us," George whispered, his vision blurring as the pain crescendoed into a symphony of agony. His thoughts spiraled, fleeting images of Tilly's smile, Evelyn's laughter, George Jr.'s innocent eyes. "Mercy," he said bitterly, a stranger to these parts. "Say hi to the devil for us," someone shouted as the final spike was driven home. George's head lolled forward, his breathing coming in ragged gasps. He could feel the life bleeding out of him, the warmth seeping away into the dirt beneath the oak. The mob's voices faded away, their thirst for vengeance quenched by the spectacle of his suffering. "Forgive me," he prayed silently to the memories of his loved ones, "for I have sinned." With one last shuddering breath, George Markley, the blacksmith of Shroud, slipped from the land of living, his spirit bound to the place of his execution, as if the very spikes that ended his life now tethered him to the world he could no longer touch. The moon hung low, a pale witness to the atrocity beneath the oak. George's spirit hovered, shackled by pain and injustice, over his ravaged body, a final expression of sorrowful defiance. The night air held a charged silence, broken only by the distant howl of a solitary coyote. It was in this quietude that a whisper, as if carried by the wind itself, began to form around it. "George Markley," it intoned with an ethereal resonance that seemed to vibrate within his very essence. "Who calls upon me?" George's spectral voice was cautious, a mere wisp in the darkness. "An arbiter of balance," the voice replied. "A spirit of vengeance." George's translucent form gazed down, taking in the sight of his own mortal shell. He felt a surge of emotion, a tide of rage and greed threatening to drown his reason. "Vengeance," he echoed hollowly, the word tasting like bile on his incorporeal tongue. "Look upon yourself, blacksmith," the spirit commanded. "Your hammer once forged bonds, mended breaks. Now you shall wield it to shatter the chains of hatred." A spectral hammer materialized before him, its head gleaming with an otherworldly light, the handle wrapped in leather that seemed to pulse with power. George reached out, his ghostly fingers closing around it. The context sent a jolt through his being, igniting a fire that had been extinguished with his last breath. "Rise, hammer of vengeance," spirits proclaimed. Strike down those who mar the world with their malice. Let the guilty know fear as they have sown it. And what of mercy? Of justice, George questioned, feeling the weight of the weapon in his hand. Mercy is for the repentant. Justice is what you will bring. A wash of determination flooded through George's spectral form. He thought of Tilly's gentle strength, Evelyn's bright future, George Jr.'s boundless curiosity, all stolen by the hands of hate. His purpose solidified like steel in a forge. Then I shall be the hammer. I shall be the tempest, George vowed, his voice ringing with newfound resolve. Go forth, hammer of vengeance, the spirit said as it began to fade from perception. Let the wicked cower at your approach. With a thunderous crack, George's spirit exploded into an array of shadows and light, merging with the night. Now unbound, he soared above shroud, a specter of retribution. He could sense them, the malevolent hearts, the corrupt souls. They would not rest easy in their beds. They would not find peace in their wickedness. As he descended upon the town, his presence caused lanterns to flicker and dogs to whine nervously. The first of the guilty stirred in his sleep, a cold streak breaking across his brow as primal fear took hold. George raised his spectral hammer high, its arc cutting through the stillness of the night. May God have mercy on you, he whispered, and with the force that seemed to shake the very earth, George brought the hammer down, unleashing the fury of the wrong and the wrath of the just. The hammer of vengeance was born. The sun hung low, a smoldering orb cloaked in the dusky robes of twilight. Ra's celestial barge had navigated the horizon's edge, now mooring at the confluence of the eternal river and the sea of stars. His divine form shimmered with the remnants of the day's light as he stepped onto the shores of the Netter's hidden abode. Every night he was locked into a life and death struggle with Apep, the great chaos snake. It taxed his great strength, and even he wondered what the outcomes would be each night. He sought to shore up the security of order, to make safe the world for all. So he would consult with his two greatest advisors, Aset, who was the Netter of magic, and Jehudi, who was the Netter of wisdom. Great Aset, Ra began, his voice resonating with the gravity of his ages. Apet's malice grows ever more cunning. Her latest spawn, a serpent gifted with a darkness so deep it could devour the dawn. It threatens to unravel the tapestry of creation itself. Aset, her eyes reflecting the depth of the cosmos, nodded silently. She was the essence of wisdom, her presence an anchor in the tumultuous sea of chaos that threatened to engulf the world. My lord Ra, she replied, her voice a soothing melody amidst the cacophony of celestial warfare. To combat such guile, we require a defender, a being whose nature is attuned to the serpentine form, one who can slither through shadow as effortlessly as light dances upon the Nile. Ra's gaze met her, the spark of creation flickering in his eyes as he weighed her counsel. Within his vast intellect, the cogs of possibility began to turn, crafting the image of his new guardian from the ethereal threads of thought. Jehudi stood by silent and observant, his countenance calm as the surface of a moonlit pool. This Netter, who was the scribe of the heavens, bore an expression that belied the keen intellect beneath his furrowed brow. Speak, Jehudi, Ra asked, the urgency of his plight infusing potency into his words. Your insight has often proved to be invaluable. Lord of Light, Jehudi said, his voice measured and clear. If balance is to be restored, we must conceive a being not only aligned with the snake, but also capable of outmatching its primal cunning. You must weave for us a creature that embodies the grace and lethality required to stand as your sentinel. Ra absorbed the wisdom offered by his two trusted advisors, his heart quivering with the anticipation of creation. The thought of fashioning a new life form sparked a wildfire within the heart of his soul, a blaze that was yearning to be shaped into existence. Then let it be so, Ra declared, the firmament echoing his resolve. The air around them thrummed with potential, waiting for the command that would birth a new legend. Then let us convene the powers at our disposal, Aset suggested, her gaze piercing the veil of uncertainties. Together, we shall forge this protector in the crucible of our combined wills, so she may rise as the embodiment of our hope. Indeed, Ra murmured, his thoughts coalescing into determination. A new defender would emerge, one whose essence would be as enigmatic as the night sky from which it was born, a champion to stand against the encroaching tide of chaos. In the sanctum of eternity, where time wove its endless dance, Jehudi stood with a presence that seemed to bend the very air with his wisdom. His eyes, reflective as the moon's surface, turned inward as he contemplated the shape of salvation. The silence hung heavy in the air, pregnant with the weight of impending creation. "Let us look at the natural world," Jehudi offered, breaking the stillness, his voice carrying the timbre of ancient tomes. "The snake coils and strikes with lethal intent, yet there exists one who treads upon the snake with innate sovereignty." All eyes fell upon the wise Neter, their gazes wondering at the thoughts in his head. Aset's lips parted slightly in anticipation, a silent beckoning for the knowledge poised on Jehudi's tongue. "The cat," he pronounced. The word itself seemed to claw its way into reality, sharp and full of primal instinct. Aset's expression shifted, a subtle play of intrigue and respect. "Yes, the cats are poised, and their elegance belies their ferocity. They hunt with a silence that whispers death itself." "Indeed," Ra murmured, his own thoughts mirroring the night sky, vast and dotted with the stars of possibility. The eye of the cat resonated within him, its potential energy crackling against his divine essence. "Call upon Sekhmet," Jehudi spoke, his decree resounding like a gravel upon the pillars of the world. "She shall inscribe the blueprint of this life, the sacred geometry from which our defender will emerge." Her claws will be the bane of scales, Ra envisioned, feeling the stirring of creation ripple within him, a surge of warmth akin to the first rays of dawn. The room quivered with the invocation of Sekhmet's name, and there she was, appearing as if summoned by sheer force of necessity. Her gaze was as infinite as the library she kept, figure wrapped in robes, scribed with the knowledge of the ages. "Great Sekhmet, weaver of destinies, architect of cosmic order." Ra addressed her with reverence, the air around them charged with expectations. "We seek to cast a new thread into the tapestry of existence, one that is both of the earth and beyond it." "Speak, O Sun King," Sekhmet responded, her voice the whisper of papyrus leaves. "Craft for us a being that encapsulates the essence of the cat, a guardian with eyes to pierce the shadow, a hunter to balance the threat that slithers in the darkness," Ra intoned, each word an ember igniting the path of future events. Sekhmet nodded, her hands poised above the material form that fates were woven. She began the intricate task, each movement deliberate, each symbol imbued with the essence of divine will. As she wrote, the dimensions of the room itself seemed to fold into the narrative that she created. Reality, bending to accommodate the birth of this new legend. "Her spirit will be fierce, untamed by the sands of time," Jehudi whispered, his eyes reflecting the image of his imminent savior. "Her form, lithe and agile, a testament to the dance between life and death." "May her vigilance be unwavering," Aset added, the slightest smile gracing her lips as she herself envisioned the graceful terror that they were about to unleash on their age-old nemesis. "And thus Bastet will come to be," Ra declared. In that moment, all present could feel the shift, a new power stirring, ready to spring forth into the realm of Neters and men. Sekhmet's cosmic pen met the parchment, a mere whisper against its virgin surface. The nib, dark as the void between stars, exuded ink that seemed to pull the very light from the room, swirling itself with potentiality. Her fingers danced with practiced grace, each letter an invocation, each word a layer of muscle and myth. The air crackled in anticipation, heavy with their divine intent. "Let her be swift," Sekhmet murmured, her voice low but clear, reverberating through the chamber like an incantation. "As quick as thought, as silent as the night." Jehudi stood nearby, his gaze fixed on the unfolding creation, his mind already weaving the spell into his spellbook. With each stroke of Sekhmet's pen, he etched the corresponding symbols into his tome, the golden glyphs glowing softly against the ancient papyrus. "Her claws shall be the spears of heaven, sharp enough to cleave shadow from light," Jehudi intoned, his voice harmonizing with the scratching of the pen. May she never know defeat, Sekhmet continued, her hand steady while her heart thrummed with the weight of what they were about to bring forth. She could feel Bastet's presence taking form, a phantom touch at her senses, a purr resonating within the walls of her soul. Let her eyes hold the green of light, the emerald promise of dawn, Jehudi added, his own eyes reflecting the nascent veracity he imagined. His fingers paused in their meticulous transcription, allowing himself a moment to marvel at the certainty with which Sekhmet wrought destiny itself. Her fur, Sekhmet whispered, a smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. Let it simmer with the darkness of the chaos, an endless night where stars go to play. She felt a shiver of power course through her, the paper beneath her hand now alive with the energy of their collective will. Indeed, Jehudi murmured, resuming his careful inscription, she will be both beauty and terror, a force to reckon with the chaos that coils at our doorsteps. His thoughts flitted to the serpent, Apep, and the dread it inspired in the hearts of men and nectars alike. Bastet would be their answer, the counterbalance to entropy's insidious crawl. Let her name resonate through the ages, Sekhmet said, the final stroke of her pen sealing the birth of this new nectar. Bastet, daughter of the sun, shield of Ra, the cat of our creation. Her tale will be told, Jehudi declared, closing his book with a sense of finality, the new spell nestled securely within its pages. And let her hunt begin this very night. The chamber of creation was awash with tension that crackled like static against skin, a place where the very fabric of reality seemed pliable and responsive to the wills of those who stood within its bounds. Atum Ra, the embodiment of the primal force of existence, hovered at its center. His presence was commanding, an anchor to the swirling energies that emanated from his divine form. Within him surged the power of life itself, the kernel of order amidst the encroaching chaos. Let us begin, Ra intoned, his voice resonating through the chamber as he drew forth a scintillating orb from the core of his being. It pulsed like a heart, the rhythm of creation beating within it. A small sun that blazed with wildfire's ferocity, casting shadows that danced frenetically across the walls. Aset, her eyes reflecting the brilliant glow, stepped forward with a grace that belied the urgency of their purpose. From the breath of Atum Ra, she began, her voice weaving into the tapestry of light. We call forth the defender, the balance to the darkness we seek to devour. Jehudi, ever the scholar, his gaze alight with wisdom of countless eons, joined in the incantation. From the mind of Sekhmet, we shape the formless into form, he declared, his words an echo of the spirit that now lay dormant within his tone, awaiting for the breath of life. Atum's thoughts focused on the task at hand, the energy within his grasp malleable beneath the weight of their collective intentions. He could feel the pressure of the void pushing back, the unseen menace that lurked just beyond the edges of light. It was a battle fought not with swords, but with the very essence of what they were. The thought of Apep, the never-ending threat, fueled his resolve. This creation must succeed, he urged silently, feeling the weight of destiny on them all. Bind the light to our will, Ra's voice commanded, a fusion of his godly might and mortal determination. Shape it as a hunter, sleek and silent, a shadow against shadows. His words hummed in the air, wrapping around the glowing orb, infusing it with purpose. Let the heart of Atum Ra ignite the spark, Aset whispered, her outstretched hands challenging the nurturing aspect of her divinity, coaxing the wild energy to coalesce into something more tangible, more alive. Let the wisdom of Jehudi guide the spirit, Atum added, the power within him reaching a crescendo as he felt the first stirrings of consciousness flicker within the nascent form. Let the craftsmanship of Sekhmet give it form, Jehudi uttered, the finality in his tone a testament to the gravity of their creation. Together their voices swirled, a chorus of deific intent that reverberated through the chamber, bending the divine energy to their will. The orb responded, its surface rippling like liquid starlight as it began to stretch, to mold, to take shape under the guidance of these combined nectars. Let this be enough, Atum willed, pouring the last of his energy into the fledgling nectar, willing her into existence. Bastet, the answer to their prayers, the embodiment of celestial might and earthly cunning. She would face Apep this night, and every night thereafter, a guardian against the encroaching dark, born of their hopes and their fears, their power and their wisdom. The chamber of creation thrummed with the power of the ancient deities, a sacred place where stars were born and destinies forged. Within its confines, the essence of divinity itself coalesced, responding to the summoning words of the nectars whose voices wove the fabric of existence. Behold, Jehudi murmured, his eyes reflecting the depth of the universe, the dawn of our protector, the cat of Ra. The orb of raw celestial fire that had pulsed between them now began to undulate with purpose, the blackness of the void knitting itself as if spun by the loom of fate. Aset's lips curled in a silent prayer, her thoughts twinning with the energy, nurturing it with the tender care of a mother for her own child. From chaos, order. From darkness, light, Aset intoned, her voice a melodic thread in the tapestry of spellcasting. Atum-Ra, a titan among them, felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders like a cloak woven from the night sky. It was a sensation both familiar and unsettling. Each act of creation, a gamble against the entropy that Apep sought to spread. His heart beat in time with the rhythm of the cosmos, a drum heralding the arrival of a new force in the eternal struggle. Let her be steadfast, he whispered to himself, a bulwark against the serpent's wrath. As her incantations reached a crescendo, the shape within the fiery orb crystallized, limbs stretching forth, a sleek body forming from the nebulous energy. Whispers of starlight clung to her form like dew on morning grass, until she stood before them in all her nascent glory. Bastet, the cat of Ra. Welcome, daughter of the sun. Atum's voice resonated with pride and anticipation. Your hunt begins tonight. Bastet's first shimmered, a tapestry of the night sky rendered upon her graceful frame. It was a black so profound, so saturated with the mysteries of the cosmos, it seemed to swallow light whole, only to release it in subtle glints that mirrored the twinkling of distant stars. Her presence filled the chamber, a tangible assertion of life that none could deny. Your essence is forged of the very heavens, Jehudi observed, his gaze analytical, yet not without warmth, a fitting garb for the guardian of Ma'at. Aset stepped forward, the lines of concern etching her face, softening as she beheld the nectar they had brought. In you, Bastet, we entrust the balance of all things. May your vigilance shield us all from the chaos that seeks to devour our world. May my claws strike true, Bastet responded, her voice a purr of determination. Her form was poised, a dancer waiting for the music to begin, the music of battle, of survival, of an unending war waged beneath the vault of heaven. Atum-Ra felt the tension ease from his own form, a quiet satisfaction blooming within him. They had created a champion, a divine sentinel. Yet even as hope flickered within him, the shadow of doubt lingered, a reminder that the morrow was fraught with uncertainty. Tonight you will face the snake, he declared, his tone carrying the gravity of the duty bestowed upon her. And with each dawn we shall rise again, strengthened by your courage and your skill. In the silence that followed, Bastet moved, a creature of grace and deadly intent, her every motion a testament to the purpose for which she had been birthed. The cat of Ra. The cat of Ra, a legend-given form, prepared to stalk through the annals of time as protectress of order, her black fur and mantle of the infinite, her will an unbreakable spear against the dark. With the turn of her head, Bastet caught the flickering torchlight in her gaze. It sparkled across the vernet pools of her eyes, igniting them with otherworldly fire that mirrored the fervor of Ra's own celestial flame. The light danced within those emerald depths, casting lustrous shadows over the contours of her face. Your beauty is not just a gift, Ra spoke, but a weapon to beguile and distract your adversaries. Bastet inclined her head, acknowledging the compliment and the hidden wisdom within. She knew her allure was as much a part of her arsenal as the claws sheathed within her paws. Moving with fluid grace, she approached her father, her sleek form reflecting the subtle glow of divinity. Beauty can disarm the strongest foe, she murmured, her voice soft, yet laced with steel. Her thoughts, though veiled from the others around her, spun with strategic precision. Let Apep gaze upon me and falter, she mused. Let the serpent be ensnared by vanity before the strike. Indeed, Atum agreed, watching her with a blend of parental pride and tactical appraisal. But never forget, it is your spirit, fierce and indomitable, that truly defines you. Bastet's tail twitched in response, a subtle gesture of her readiness and resolve. She envisioned the battles ahead of her, her mind weaving through scenarios, each potential movement etched with clarity. In the silent dialogue within herself, she rehearsed the dance of combat, envisioning the serpent's death with each calculated step. Let us hope Apep is as susceptible to beauty as he is to venom, Jehudi injected, his tone carrying the hint of an impish smile. For if charm fails, your teeth and claws shall speak more convincingly. Aset watched, her gaze contemplative, sensing the currents of power converging within Bastet. And speak they well, she said softly, almost a whisper, yet carrying the certainty of prophecy. The chamber seemed to hold its breath, awaiting the clash of titans, this eternal struggle between order and chaos. Bastet, however, stood serene amidst a storm of anticipation. Her beauty, ethereal and commanding, was but the serene surface of a fathomless lake. What lay beneath was a warrior's heart, ready to rise with the fury of a tempest. Then let my presence be both bane and blessing, she vowed, the green of her eyes darkening with purpose. For I am Bastet, the cat of Ra, and my radiance shall be the last light the shadow of Apep beholds before the end. Your adversary slithers in the realm of twilight, cloaked in dread and malice, Atum Ra intoned. Are you prepared to face the spawn of chaos? Bastet's response came not in words, but a subtle shift of her stance. She moved with the grace that belied the lethal purpose of every sinew in her body. The green of her eyes reflected the flame's dance, brimming with the predator's focus. She let her awareness expand, imagining the cold scales of Apep, the undulating horde that sought to unwind creation itself. Preparation is my nature. My senses are attuned to the whispers of scale against stone, a rustle of dark intent amidst the stillness. Then this will be a testament to your prowess, Jehudi observed, his tone laced with wisdom. Let the hunt begin, and may the balance tip in the favor of Ma'at. As she listened, Bastet's thoughts weaved through the landscape of her nascent memory, recalling the divine incantations that had breathed life into her form. She was a testament to their combined wills, a guardian birth to counter the serpent's menace. Tonight you will chase down fear itself, Aset whispered, a breeze that stirred the embers of Bastet's resolve, and you will emerge as both shield and spear for those who dwell beneath the sun. Let the stars bear witness, Bastet vowed, her words a velvet caress that veiled a core of steel. I am the hunt incarnate, the unseen terror of the night. By dawn, the serpent shall know defeat. With a fluid motion, Bastet rose, every movement a testament to her role as a protector, as avenger. Her eyes narrowed, now mirrors of the Vernet deep, reflecting a destiny written in the heavens. Go forth, Bastet, Atum Ra commanded, his voice an ancient rumble that seemed to shake the very earth. Let the darkness tremble at your approach. She prowled toward the threshold of the chamber, where the boundary between the divine and the mortal blurred. There she paused, tail flicking with poised readiness. Her heart was a drumbeat, rhythmic and sure, echoing the pulse of the cosmos. Tonight, she thought, feeling the inevitability of the confrontation coursing through her, I am the balance that tips the scales. Tonight, I am the hunter, and the snake shall be my prey.
Around 4000 BCE, Ether worship emerges. Cow goddess symbolism establishes Ether as fertility, nourishment, and life force. Around 3500 BCE, early worship of Inanna emerges. Inanna appears as a primordial goddess of fertility, sexuality, and divine power. Around 3200 BCE, Inanna, associated with kingship and temples, establishes divine legitimacy of rulers through temple-centered worship. Thoth emerges in early Kemetic cosmology. Thoth embodies wisdom, writing, measurement, and divine intellect. Around 3100 BCE, Anhur, integrated into royal ideology, becomes divine mother and legitimizer of kingship. Around 3000 BCE, Tiamat, venerated in early Mesopotamian cosmogonies as primordial sea goddess. Earliest traces of a saltwater chaos goddess whose body represents the primordial abyss, pre-Babylonian roots. Seshat emerges as early Kemetic deity of writing and measurement. Seshat governs record-keeping, measurement, and cosmic order. Thoth associated with the moon and cosmic order. Moon cycles linked to timekeeping and balance. Marat formalized as cosmic principle in early Kemetic belief. Marat represents truth, balance, order, and justice governing the universe. Early worship of Ausit emerges. Ausit appears as goddess of magic, kingship, and divine motherhood. Myths of Inanna, formalized in Sumerian tradition, defines her dual nature of love, war, and cosmic authority. Apep emerges in early Kemetic cosmology. Apep represents chaos, non-being, and entropy opposing cosmic order. Around 2900 BCE, Ma'at personified as a goddess. Abstract order embodied in divine feminine form. Seshat associated with architecture and surveying. Temples and monuments aligned through sacred measurement. Around 2800 BCE, Apep, positioned as eternal enemy of Ra, defines daily cosmic struggle between order and chaos. Thoth credited with invention of writing and language. Writing enables law, ritual, and memory. Seshat credited with invention of writing alongside Thoth. Writing formalized as divine technology. Around 2700 BCE, pharaohs rule as keepers of Ma'at. Legitimacy of kingship tied to maintaining Ma'at. Ausit, integrated into Old Kingdom theology, becomes central to royal legitimacy and funerary rites. Seshat records reigns of pharaohs. History preserved as sacred record. Around 2686 BCE, expansion of Anhur cult centers. Accessible goddess of joy, music, love, and afterlife. Around 2600 BCE, Thoth serves as scribe of the gods. Records divine judgments and cosmic law. Ma'at integrated into legal and moral systems. Justice and law grounded in cosmic balance. Seshat measures time and calendars. Timekeeping ensures cosmic rhythm. Around 2500 BCE, Inanna's descent to the underworld circulated. Introduces themes of death, rebirth, and feminine sovereignty. Underworld journey myths formalize Apep's role. Apep attacks the solar bark nightly. Thoth mediates disputes among the gods. Wisdom over force as stabilizing principle. Ma'at governs judgment of the dead. Hearts weighed against the feather of Ma'at. Seshat involved in foundation rituals. Buildings anchored to Ma'at. Around 2400 BCE, myths of Ausit and Auza formalized. Establishes resurrection, inheritance, and divine order. Osiris judgment ritual codified with Ma'at at center. Defines moral accountability beyond life. Around 2300 BCE, Seshat linked to astronomy and star measurement. Stars used to align sacred space. Akkadian adoption of Inanna as Ishtar. Inanna becomes Ishtar, expanding across Semitic cultures. Thoth aids Osiris judgment ritual. Balances the scales of Ma'at. Around 2200 BCE, priestly rituals developed to repel Apep. Magic and ritual used to maintain cosmic balance. Ma'at invoked daily in temple ritual. Order must be actively renewed. Around 2181 BCE, localized Anhur worship strengthens. Stabilizing goddess during political fragmentation. Around 2055 BCE, Anhur syncretized with Ausit. Embodies maternal tenderness and divine authority. Around 2000 BCE, Hermopolis becomes major cult center of Thoth. Thoth worship institutionalized. Astarte worship. Root deity later demonized into Astaroth. Ma'at contrasted with Isfet. Balance defined against disorder. Apep linked with darkness, storms, and earthquakes. Chaos interpreted through natural disasters. Seshat worship integrated into temple bureaucracy. Knowledge management systemized. Orzit worship expands across Middle Kingdom. Strengthens role as protector of throne and people. Ishtar worship spreads across Mesopotamia. Ishtar becomes a pan-Mesopotamian goddess. Lilitu spirits appear in Mesopotamian texts. Early wind and night spirits establish Lilith-type figure. Proto-Germanic thunder god emerges as precursor to Thor. Early Indo-European thunder deity forms the foundation of Thor. Around 1900 BCE composition of the Enuma Elish, in which Tiamat battles the younger gods. Fixes Tiamat as the personification of chaos opposing the divine assembly in the Babylonian creation story. Around 1800 BCE Ishtar integrated into Babylonian state religion. Central deity of love, war, and political power. Female night demons referenced in Akkadian sources. Associates feminine independence with danger and liminality. Thoth linked to mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. Sacred sciences attributed to Thoth. Marat upheld as social harmony and truth. Applies to speech, conduct, and governance. Mythic tradition that Marduk uses Tiamat's body to construct heaven and earth. Tiamat's defeat turns chaotic waters into the structured cosmos, encoding the pattern order from chaos. Around 1700 BCE Seshat depicted recording offerings and spoils. Resource tracking sacredized. Apep opposed by Set as defender of Ra. Set functions as necessary counter-chaos force. Around 1600 BCE. Early Indo-European Skyfather deity forms basis of Zeus. Establishes Zeus as continuation of Indo-European sky god tradition. Orzit associated with healing and magic. Her spells become central to medical and funerary texts. Celtic Brigid worship develops as goddess of fire, healing, poetry, and the dead. Brigid provides the pre-Christian foundation for Marmon Brigitte's identity. Ishtar worship adopted by Assyria. Emphasizes her warlike and imperial aspects. Around 1550 BCE peak of Athor worship. Cosmic goddess of beauty, sexuality, music, and trade. Around 1500 BCE Apep depicted in funerary texts. Represents annihilation of the soul if Marat is rejected. Thoth credited with magical texts and spells. Magic as structured knowledge. Marat appears extensively in wisdom literature. Moral instruction framed as cosmic duty. Seshat paired consistently with Thoth. Balance of intellect and precision. Around 1400 BCE proto-mythic strongman hero traditions emerge. Early Indo-European hero myths lay groundwork for Heracles. Zeus integrated into Mycenaean pantheon. Zeus emerges as central authority figure. Temple of Athor expanded at Dendera. Establishes Dendera as primary cult center. Ishtar temples flourish across Near East. Establishes one of the most widespread goddess cults of antiquity. Around 1300 BCE Athor identified as the Eye of Ra, dual nature as nurturer and fierce protector. Heracles myths circulate in Mycenaean oral tradition. Hero figure tied to strength, endurance, and divine lineage. Orzit revered as universal mother. Symbol of divine femininity and protection. Book of the Dead includes spells against Apep. Codifies resistance to chaos. Around 1200 BCE Ashtoreth referenced in Hebrew texts. Shift from goddess to polemic figure. Seshat appears in funerary and ritual texts. Ensures correct ritual accounting. Marat depicted in funerary texts. Ensures justice persists after death. Thoth appears extensively in funerary texts. Ensures correct ritual performance. Concept of Satan as an accuser emerges in Hebrew thought. Satan originally functions as a title or role, not a singular evil being. Lilith-like figures influence Hebrew folklore. Mesopotamian concepts migrate into Hebrew thought. Heracles established as son of Zeus. Defines demigod status bridging mortal and divine worlds. Olympian order consolidates under Zeus. Zeus becomes king of the gods. Ishtar identified with Venus. Links divine femininity to cosmic cycles. Early oral traditions of Pele emerge. Pele forms as a primordial volcanic force tied to creation, land formation, and ancestral memory. Early Israelite strongman heroes